Good morning. It's Dr. Bill Williams on the Influencers Podcast, coming to you on Friday morning from Atlanta, Georgia. We're so fortunate today to be going way out to Salt Lake City, Utah. We're going to be talking with Cameron Gilmore, Director of the Affiliate Marketing at Blue Fire Leads. Bring him in right now. Hello, Gilmore, Mr. Gilmore. Cameron, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Dr. Bill. Thank you. How's life there in Atlanta?
Yeah, we're gray and overcast, but we're loving life. We're having a good day.
That's awesome. It snowed here, so we're excited for the snow.
Yeah, I heard that the Pineapple Express has exploded over California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and dumped a bunch of snow.
It has, and it's fantastic. We definitely need the snow, the skiers, the snowboarders. So we welcome it all. That's for sure.
I skied many years out in Salt Lake area, up into the Park City and Sundance, Park City, beautiful place.
Yeah, those are absolutely beautiful. 100%, absolutely beautiful.
Well, let's get on and talk about Blue Fire Leads, your business. How'd you get started and what are you doing in it?
So, Blue Fire Leads, the company's been around for 10 years.
I think we got cut off on our audio. I don't hear you. Your audio went away. Maybe the check your audio and see if you can find it.
Can you hear me okay?
You're back.
Oh, well, that was weird.
I don't know what happened.
All of a sudden you were there and then you weren't, and then you were there, and apologize. Well, that's what's beautiful about
it's the internet glitch
process. Going live, it's always fun. So
hey, we deal with it, no problem. You're talking about Blue Fire Leads, and how do you get there?
Somehow I've lost.
You're doing good.
Let's see here.
I can hear you just fine.
Trying to fix my.
Is your audio okay?
Are you able? I mean, you probably can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great, but I can't hear you guys at all.
No? Yeah, it must be something with the audio sync.
1 second. Let's see if I can try to fix something real quick.
In the wonderful land of Zoom and StreamYard and Webinar Jam, there's always something going on. But we can deal with it. We'll give you a few minutes to sync back up. Get a reset. Live online is always fun. We're hearing you. How's it going on your side? Can you hear me okay? Obviously, Cameron can't hear me right now.
Well, Dr. Bill, I apologize.
He can't hear me?
I don't know what happened. I mean, you guys can hear me, which is great. I can't hear you. I can't hear you guys at all. Like when you try to talk, I can't hear. So I'm going through all my settings to try to.
Yeah, I don't.
Darn it. Well, let me try. Hold on.
Yeah, reset sometimes is the best way to go.
Are you there?
Hey, Cameron, how are you?
Now I can hear you.
Welcome. We got to reestablish with a good connection. So excellent.
Good job. So like I was saying before, I was brought in to run the sales department. We did that. And then from that part of it, I went and built because we're in lead generation, we saw a big need for retargeting a lot of our old data. And so then I was able to build out a texting program, a texting software within our company. And from that, was able to bring on and start a company within our company, which was called Verified Solar. So we were doing solar appointments, and that's what's really springboarded me to go from the $0 to 34 million in 9 months with part-time college kids. And I want to talk to that specifically because I'm often asked, how did I do all that? How did I get all that? And what we all need to realize is that I've been in business since 1999, from variations from sales, marketing, technical support, the whole nine. I've tried to start my own companies off and on over the last 15 years, and some have done really well and some have been horrible. And that's the key of it, right? It's just understanding that you have to suck and fail more times than not, so you understand the process and this process of growth. So when I started this company, the one thing I wanted to do was not have seasoned sales reps. And that was kind of a gamble, because anytime you start, anything with sales, you want to have people who know how to sell, overcome objections, that are really good at honing in on a craft. But with that comes with, years of sales, good and bad. And so I wanted to start a company that was using part-time college kids that were sponges, and they really are sponges. They just wanted to learn how to be better. They were going to school for not to be in sales, or some yes, and a big portion of them were no. So when we started hiring these part-time college kids, the one thing that I told them, the mission of the company was, we're going to build you up first as individuals, and then the business will take care of itself. And that was the part that I think scared a lot of the investors. It scared a lot of people, saying, wait a minute, we're putting in, investing in X amount of dollars. We need to start making money right away. Yes, we do, 100%. And I did not discredit that at all. The one thing that I kept telling everybody was, listen, if we can build these individuals first, if we can help them become better versions of themselves today, tomorrow will be an abundance. Because today is the greatest day ever, and I truly believe that. So with all of these kids, and we were bringing them on and just hiring them, that's what I would tell them. I said, my job is to make you better individuals today, so tomorrow you come back and you feel more confident, and you feel more comfortable, and you're more positive. And that's what it is. So the first thing that we did every morning before they started their workday was their 3 positive affirmations, 3 things that they were grateful for. Every day they would do it. We had an Excel spreadsheet off Google Sheets, and they would go in and it said, grateful for 1, 2, 3. And they would literally write it in there, and I would not allow them to start their, working until they wrote in 3 things that they were grateful for. The next thing was, what are 3 things that we're going to work on? Now, what I did was, because I knew I had part-time kids, I needed to make sure we maximized every ounce, every hour, every minute with them. So we set up 2 work days within 1 work day. Ed Milet talks about this a lot. He goes in great depth. He says you can create 3 work days within 1 day. Well, what we did was we separated out to 2 work days. So we would take the first 90 minutes of this first block, and we would say, what do you want to work on? And it wasn't anything sales related. It wasn't business related. It was, I want to make X amount of phone calls. Okay. But it was, more importantly, it was, what are you going to do when you're on those calls? I'm going to overcome an objection. What objection? I'm going to overcome someone saying, hey, I'm not interested. Okay, but why are they not interested? So we would have them go 7 layers deep on these things that I'm going to work on. See, what I'm focusing on, when my brain is focusing on, I want to overcome these objections, I want to overcome this specific objection, then what happens is that's what you start searching for. Because when you call somebody and they're like, yeah, I'll buy it. Okay, that's a gimme, that you didn't work for that sale. So we don't want them to focus on the easy sales. We wanted them to focus on the difficult ones, where sales is actually being a sales rep, which was, I'm overcoming this objection. I want to overcome 10 of these objections in this 90-minute span. That people were thinking, well, how are you going to do that? What you ask for and what you want, what you try to attract, it will come. And so we had, okay, so we're going to overcome, but what percent? So if I get 10 of them, if I can overcome 30% of those, that's a good day. You know, baseball players make millions of dollars only hitting the ball 20%, 15%, 30% of the time. So with these kids, the small victories were, I'm going to overcome this objection today. Perfect. And that was just in that 90-minute block. And so we had 3 things that we're going to work on. Okay, so this is what we're going to overcome. What about our tone? What about our positivity? What about our voice? What about our energy on the phone? Like, all of that comes through. If you're on the phone, we would tell them, you need to smile. So there was 2 things that we would do. One is when they would get somebody on a call, they would stand up. It was required for the first 2 weeks that you're brand new, you had to stand up. And they would sit there and go, what do you mean? I go, people fear death is number 1. And the second thing they fear is public speaking. When I stand up with somebody on the phone, my brain instantly says, I'm either going to fight, I'm going to flight, or I'm going to freeze. So we said, you're not going to freeze up. You're not going to flight. It's time to fight. So there was a part of the conversation that once these reps were able to get to, then they could sit down. So when you do that, all your brain wants to do is protect you. So the way to protect you was you have to sit down. So how do I sit down, get to this part of the conversation? And when you're focused on getting this to a particular part of the sell or the conversation, you're not really interested in listening and hearing people say, well, hey, I don't have time right now, or I'm at work, or I'm just not interested. I'm busy. How did you get my number? All of that is relevant, yes. And you're not discrediting that, but what we're doing is we're having them focus so crystal clear on the objection, which is get to this part of the conversation, then I can sit down. And so you would see all these people just popping up, randomly just pop up throughout the floors. And everybody knew. 1, they were new, so everybody was cheering them on. And then 2 is, God, I got to get to this part of the conversation. When they got to that part of the conversation, you could sit down, and then they would look around and like, now what? Now what do I do? And we're like, close the deal. Like, you're there. And what we did in the first part of the conversation is sales, right? You need to get 7 yeses to have a 90% chance of getting that sell. We gave you the first 5 yeses within that time frame before they got to sit down. So all they had to do was get the next 2 yeses. And as we built this culture of, we are here to help you. We are going to grow you. So for 90 seconds, what we did is we said, listen, you're going to turn off every notification, emails, texting, your phone's getting put away. There's no social media, nothing. All of that is turned off. We need to get your brain ready to go to basically do something uncomfortable. Every single day, I'm going to make you uncomfortable on purpose. So the first thing that we did was turn on the hype music. Everybody has a song that when they listen to, it gets them in this, it gets in this euphoric space where they say, I'm going to win. Athletes do it, personal development guys do it, motivational speakers, they all do it. It's when you go to a place, there's always this song. When you watch a movie, when the hero goes through the journey, this song is always attached to this hero. So what we did was say, you're going to listen to your song, your hype music, you're going to get ready. The brain kicks in, the dopamine starts to fire, and these kids are in this feel-good drug. Everybody knows what dopamine is, right? If you don't, look it up. It's phenomenal. And then what we did is said, now we got to focus. So then I have listened to the same Hans Zimmerman playlist for the last 7 years, 6-7 years, right? My brain knows when this particular song comes on, it knows that I should be in a focus mode. And that's what we trained them to do. You got yourself hyped up. Now we're going to get you focused. So when they were on the call, when they were on the phone, the music was playing. And that's all that they had was this focus music, kept them in the state of focus. When the phone call when they would make that call and then they would get the person, boom, they would pause the phone, they would pause the music, and they would get into that space. And what happened is it allowed these individuals to grow little by little, piece by piece. So for 90 seconds, That's all they focused on. 3 things that they were going to work on: overcoming objections, sitting down, getting a point in the conversation. And there was a bunch of other things. After the 90 minutes was up, after they were done with the 90 minutes, then we told them, hey, shut everything off, grab your phone, go get a snack, go get something to eat, go outside, walk around for 10 minutes and just decompress. Your brain and your body has to decompress because it has been focusing, doing something that's not normal, right? Most high achievers, they will tell you focusing for 90 minutes at a time is very exhausting. So we had to build up this ability, right? This ability to understand the body and the brain. So when we worked through this, then they were to come back, then we were able to sit them down and say, hey, listen, you're going to listen to 3 phone calls. One, you're going to listen to a call that was really good that you were on. Whether it was a close or not a close, you're going to listen to 1 phone call. The second is you're going to listen to a really crappy call, really bad call. There's plenty of calls like that. And third is you're going to listen to somebody around you, right? Another person's call. And we did this for the first month and a half. And even after that, once a week, it was required for our reps, my reps, to listen to phone calls, their call, a good, bad, and then a neighbor's call. So when you build this model, when you build this success model, right, there are the top 3. The question was, what are the top 3 success people can model from? Well, here's the beauty of the success. One is duplication. I learned from a mentor of mine years and years ago that if you want to be successful, find the most successful person in the room and model what they do. Now, success for you and me and people that are listening are built differently. Some people, if it's money attached, if your success is built on the monetary value that is in your bank account or the car that you drive, you will not. It's not going to work. People will see through that. But if your success is built on helping others live in abundance, helping others, great quote, right? All ships rise with the tide. The second quote that I absolutely love is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So when you build these models, one is who can I help today? If you're in sales, who can you help today? Is it the product that you're selling? How does it help them? Outside of the numbers and the savings and the cost, all of that, it's all garbage, okay? Facts tell and stories sell. So you got to be a really good storyteller. So the first thing that I would say is model how you want to position and pitch and how you want to work. Build a work schedule that from around what works for you and what works for the most successful people that you follow, right? I have plenty of mentors. A lot of them I've never met. They're all digital. Ed Milet, Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher, right? We could go on and on. Mel Robbins. We could go on and on. Like these are my mentors because I listen to them every single day. So what you feed in your mind is what you're going to do. So the first thing you do is duplication. Who do you want to duplicate? How do you want to duplicate? Who in your company is really good at what they do? Sit with them, talk with them, pick their brain, buy them dinner, buy them lunch, buy them coffee, buy them a drink, whatever it is, and say, can I just listen to you? Can I just model what you do during the day? Reps that were struggling on the phones and reps that were struggling to get sales, we would have them sit for 2 hours and listen to different reps. And then they would pad and paper and they would take notes. What worked well, what didn't, what objection did they overcome, right? And they would build their own little model off of that. So the first thing to do is duplicate what others are doing around you that are successful. Number 2 is, what are you feeding your brain? Now you can see behind me all these personal development books, and I absolutely love them, right? I'm a personal development nut. The first thing that I would say is find a book that speaks to you, speaks to your soul. Now, when you read books or listen to them on Audible, you need to be in a space where you can push out the distractions. Because what are you pulling from? Why are you listening to this book? Is it Think and Grow Rich, right? Is it The Big Leap? Is it the 5-second rule, right? Is it the Traveler's Gift? Is it I'm Not Your Sales Guru, right? Is it One More, right? Is all these different titles of these books? Why are you reading this book? What are you trying to obtain? So the first thing you're going to do when you're finding a book to read is, what am I getting? What is the purpose of me reading this book? And what do I want to gain from this book? And as you do that, then you'll start to really understand why you're reading this book. What is it doing? How is it going to help edify you? How is it going to help you become a better person? So a lot of, everybody says, read these books, personal development. Yes, they are. There's thousands of personal development books all over globally. But why are you reading the one book? What is the purpose behind that book? What are you trying to obtain? And your brain will look for those key indicators throughout that entire book. Now, once you find those, don't finish the book. The problem with all of these books that are out there is everybody reads them so fast. Oh, it was so great. It was awesome. I call it the energy drink effect, or the 5-hour shots. You are excited for a short amount of time, and then it just wears off. So how do we keep that energy? How do you keep that excitement going? It's simple. After you read the part of the book, then you apply the principles that you just read and were taught. So you spend a week, model it out and say, this book helped me overcome 5-second rule with ML Robbins, which is one of my favorite books, right? Count back 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. So how am I going to implement that in my life? Maybe I get up early. Maybe it's I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time to get up and go walk around. Maybe it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to make this phone call. So we're going to implement the weekly stuff. How am I going to implement that in my life? That's what you're going to do. So you're going to read a book, a personal book. I read 12 books a year. That's it, 12. Because I extrapolate all that I can from a book, because it does the justice to the author that wrote it. And the third thing is what can you do that will serve others charitably, right? How can you brighten someone's day to day? How can you go outside of yourself, send a text message, make a phone call, right? Send a video, not just funny gifts and stuff. Those are fun. Plus, trust me, I love them. But how could you go outside of yourself today? Service today. If you're having a bad day or rough day, go serve somebody. Make a phone call and say, hey, I just want to call and tell you how much I love you. It's hard for guys. Look, it's hard for men to tell another man, hey, I love you. I really do. And I really appreciate you as an individual. And these are the things why. I love these 3 things about you. Thank you so much for being part of my life. You do that consistently every single day. Do that for 30 days and watch your whole paradigm shift. Watch your whole mindset shift, right? If you're not happy where you are, it's because there's an imbalance in your life. And this is the last point, is we wanted to make this imbalance. In Navajo, I'm half Navajo and half Scottish. There's a word I love. It's called hojo. It's not there's not like a direct translation of it. It means mind, body, soul, and beauty. Mind, body, soul, beauty. When you're hojo, when you're balanced of all of those, your life is in abundance. Most of the time when you're unhappy, it's because there's something in your life that's an imbalance. So all you have to do is identify what that is, work on that portion, and then continue to grow in abundance. So these are the principles that we started, kind of the base level of when we were hiring these kids, and it grew and it exploded and it did really well, and it was a lot of fun growing them. So I hope that works.
I think it's a very detailed intro. Yes, you seem to have developed a formula that works, taking an inexperienced employee and turn him into a dynamo. I can see that you extract formulas from your books. You take the best of the best and implement and create a system that anybody can jump into. Talking about clients, who you're attracting to work with, who is your ideal client at Blue Fire?
That's a great question. I love this question. So my ideal client that we love, and especially in this affiliate space, we'll talk a little bit about affiliate marketing, what I love about it. See, data runs everything, in the sense of, can you build a story out of the data that you receive? Now, there's so much more than just behind pivot tables and Excel spreadsheets and building out trends and all that, right? There's so much more behind the data. What I love about the clients that we go after is, one, are we building a true partnership, or is this a here today, gone tomorrow, right? So if we're looking to build a really good partnership, what does that partnership look like? Well, communication is the number one key. If I send you a report that has data that shows these leads that you send us with this, where this source is great. We want more of this, so help us build more around this. These leads are horrific. Do not send any more of this. They're just not working. Whatever this source is, please cut it out. If you take that data and over the course of 2 weeks, nothing happens with that, that's a bad partnership. That means you're going to just look for, you just don't want to sell me a bunch of garbage and hope it sticks. And we won't, we'll catch that really quick. I've been in marketing for over 16 years, so it's pretty easy to see trends. So number one is communication, right? Back and forth. Can you communicate with me? I can communicate with you. Can you communicate with my team? And are we learning, right? Are we getting in these meetings and these are the objectives and we all take these objectives? We have things that we need to work on. You have things to work on. And so together we build this partnership. Number two is, are you open about where and how you're getting your leads? I'm not talking about ad creatives. I'm talking about, are you getting your leads from, is it Google? Is it social media? Is it TV? Is it radio? Is it print? Is it mail? How is that? Like, what does that process look like? And we may not want all the processes you have. We may only want 1 or 2 processes. That's it. And that's what we look for in the ideal client. Someone who wants to communicate, someone who is open to make changes when we give suggestions and changes. Are you open to it? I mean, Blue Flyer Leads has been around for 10 years. So we understand kind of the client model that we're looking for. Those that want to buy leads from us and those that we want to buy leads from, it's this give and take. So with us, if someone wants to buy our leads that we offer, the first thing that we are going to ask and require is you send us disposition reports, right? And disposition reports are not just not interested. That doesn't tell me anything. That's like, here's vanilla ice cream. Okay, that's great, but there's so much more out there I can have, right? So dispositions, are you telling me a story behind the lead that we sent you? And it's really easy to, whatever CRM that you're using, it's just a secondary, here's the main dispo. You can do a sub dispo category and just tell me they weren't interested. They were at work. Okay, so that lead is not a bad lead. They were just at work. They're not interested. They're driving in a car. Okay, getting ready, or the pricing, or they already had, they already have another bid. That's fine. But when we receive these dispositions reports, then what we can do is say, all right, hey, our internal marketing team, they can take all that information and say, we need to change their ad creatives. We need to be able to make this ad more attractive in this, based on what our clients are telling us. So that's what I absolutely love. A question just came up. How do you find your ideal client? This is a great question. Remember I talked about duplication. Remember we talked about how to duplicate the process. So here is where the study of the art of your craft has to come into play. How I find my ideal client is when I'm with the sales team. When I started the sales team, there were so many clients. So I'm just going to pick an industry and we'll go from there. So if my industry was if I'm a SaaS company and I'm going to sell a SaaS software, right? I need to know that 85% of all SaaS softwares in the market space are all the same. They look, they feel, they have the same whistles, the do's. They're all the same. Newsflash, they're all the same. Okay, 85% are all built on the same thing. This button does this, so do all these other buttons. Okay. Your ideal client, how you find your ideal client is you need to find 1 or 2 or 3 principles that your software does that no other software does. You need to then be so sold out on those principles that you could talk it to a 5-year-old kid and they would go, oh, that makes complete sense. So the first thing that you do is how do you tell this story? How do you do a storytelling behind the part of your SaaS product that's way different from anything else? And it cannot be feature-based. If you're trying to feature-based selling, you end up in the Rolodex. You do. If those of you don't know what a Rolodex is, it's this old wheel that you would put people's names on. You would spin it by alphabetical, and you'd find it. Or you'd go into a special email place that I have where all those emails go. So the first thing you need to do is figure out, what is it about the software that you love to sell? What is it about the software that it will change and help edify a company, right? Because listen, when you're trying to pitch your product to a company, all someone thinks of is, how much does it cost? How much downtime am I going to have, AKA business loss? And then 3 is how fast am I going to be able to recuperate that cost? So your ideal client could be anybody. It's about how you are pitching your product and your service to that client. So then once you know, hey, this is, I love these 3 things about our software. Then what you do is you go online. LinkedIn's a beautiful place to go. Google search company X needs, companies that are in this spectrum, right? So you just start researching companies. Once you find 10 companies, then you read up on those companies. Did they win any awards? How long have they been in business? What product do they do? How does these 3 things that you love the most, how would that serve them based on what you're seeing online? Do they have a podcast? Does their CEO, do they have a podcast? Are they featured on anything? Read up and study your people. Read and study the individuals you want to go after. So then when you have this conversation, when you and I are having a conversation, you're trying to offer your product, the first time that you and I have a conversation should never, ever be about what your product does. It should never, ever be about the cost of your product. And it should never, ever be about trashing another company. That's not what your conversation is. The first time that you and I have a conversation on the phone, it is, hey, customer A, I read this article that you guys did, you were featured in. It was interesting. How did you come up with that process? Whatever that process is. I saw you won an award for this. What is that process like? How have you developed that process? Tell me about the process of your company. Tell me about how you engage with clients. You tell me. What you're asking them is how you give me points for me to sell to you. And when you ask someone to talk about themselves, as I'm doing on this, right? Dr. Bill hasn't said a word. He's like, you run. So people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about their accomplishments. People don't like to talk about the areas that they absolutely suck in. I will tell you, I'm an open book. I'll tell you where I suck. But I'll tell you this.
I can say you're never going to run out of words when you're in the topic you love to speak on. That's the key. You can tell a story on top of a story. But let's not run out of time in the interview process. I want to make sure we get to all the good questions. Give us the well-defined product or service that you offer clients.
So we're a lead generation company, right? That's what we do. We have in-house, we have close to 50 in-house media buyers. So the products and services that we offer, one is as I've been telling you, we tell a story about the ads, right? We research the areas that we're going to push this ad to and why we push that ad. So if you're wanting to buy ads for, let's say you need to buy a home service lead, specifically windows, doors, roof, or bath, we're going to look at in your area, hey, this is what the roof type is here. This is what's going on in this area in these zip codes. So let's run an ad that is going to entice someone to go, you know what? I do hate that my roof kind of leaks. It is kind of old. I never thought about this part of the roof. I never thought about maybe there could be something underneath that. Underneath the level, there's something going on. So we do a really good job of telling a story on the leads that we generate and what we sell to people, right? So that's the leads that we sell. And then obviously on the buying side, what we do is we communicate very well with all of our partners. We give them reports, ways to optimize. We help you guys optimize. And we're an open book to where people love to work with our company, right? You are assigned a human being that was going to treat you like a human being. And that's what we do. Look, lead generation is this. I serve up an ad, someone fills out a form, hits submit, it goes to you and you buy that, right? There's lead generation 101. Hasn't changed in the 16 plus years I've been doing this, and it won't change. There's just different ways of doing the business, right? And it's all about storytelling, and we have some of the best storytellers out there.
So the online platform that you pull from mostly, where do you put your ads and you put your emphasis?
We've figured out a good flow through social, right? Social media, Facebook primarily. We've figured out a good rhythm, and then that we post, and that's where a ton of our leads are generated. When we buy traffic, I love to buy Google search, obviously very high intent. I love to buy people that think outside the box, right? Email marketing, people will send emails and love to buy that. Traffic is good. Phone calls are great. Phone calls. Now you gotta be careful. Do your research on phone calls and how to understand phone calls, where they come from and how those are being generated, because phone calls, although being great, can also be a huge lawsuit. So make sure that you do your back end research on that.
Do you have any particular feature in the platform that stands out?
Not necessarily. There's not like one thing that stands out, because it all comes back to storytelling. Can you create something that will entice somebody to click a button? That's what you're doing. You're telling the story. Colors, are you matching it with the seasons that you're going through? Are you matching it based off of any incentives that state is running particularly? So it's not necessary. I mean, the platform, obviously Google is great. YouTube is great. Podcasts are another fun way to generate. So, there's a lot of different platforms, and each platform you use, you want to understand how to maximize and extrapolate the best versions of it.
Do you find that your clients become brand ambassadors as you work with them?
Yeah, we actually get a lot of referrals from clients that we work with. I was at an AWS this last month in January, and I had a couple of clients come up to me and say, "Hey, we'd love to talk to you. You work with, this company. We know them. They said you guys are great to work with. We'd love to work with you." And those clients, they'll stay on for months and months and even years, because when you get a referral from somebody, you trust that person, that partnership more than you would just doing a Google search and saying, "All right, let me give you a try."
You have a long-term goal to help other people a lot. You've invested a lot in the youth. You've invested a lot in people who didn't really have the skills to sell. So what motivates you to do that?
Growing up, my dad instilled in me this phenomenal work ethic, right? My mom and my dad. My dad instilled work hard. Your word is your bond. You shake somebody's hand, that is good as gold. My mom instilled the compassion to help others. A true leader doesn't lead from a vine. He doesn't even lead from the front. True leadership locks arms with somebody and says, "I'm going to pull you along until you have the confidence in yourself." Leaders will push other people to do something that they don't like to do, because they see in you, right, something that you can't see in yourself now, just because you don't have the years, the tenure that's what you don't have. So that's what it motivates me, because I love to take this new crop of business kids, whether you want to become an entrepreneur, whether you want to get into sales or marketing or whatever that space is, and take 20 years of plus in business that I have and condense it down and say, we're going to take the 20 years that I learned, and over the next 3 months, we're going to pull the best versions out of you. And I just love to see them excel and achieve, right? If you can see it, you can achieve it type mentality. So that's what I would tell. That's why I do what I do, because it just helps. The business space needs good people. All right. Good people. Good people come from those that have already been through the path.
Yeah. You hit upon the magic number 20. 20 years ago, if you were, say, 20 getting started, what would you give yourself advice to do now that you know what you know?
I would tell myself 20 years ago, I would say, love myself, love yourself, learn to love you. You're young. My 20-year-old self, I was young, I was dumb, I was ambitious, right? I chased a lot of the squirrel, right? You chased it all. Back then you were chasing, this company's higher, it's going to pay me more. This company's higher, it's going to pay me more. You can't develop a lasting career by just chasing the almighty dollar. So understand this. One is love yourself. Learn to love you. Learn to embrace who you are as the individual, and then obviously work on what's upstairs, right? Because that means go to therapy. I wish I would. I just finished going through therapy. I still am in therapy because you just need it. I would say get into therapy quick and early, so you can overcome some of those deep fears that you have, and just know it's always good to have somebody there to kind of push you along. And then secondly, find a mentor. Find somebody who can mentor you. Mentors will, being a mentor, the hardest part is building out a program for somebody and then following up and then following up and then following up and realize, dang, they didn't do any of it. Or you're always the one that has to do the follow-up. That's the hardest part. So when you find a mentor, treat them like they're your best friend, treat them like their family, and learn to love them. And then being that you're 20, I mean, come on, most people don't make their money until they're between that age of 35 to 45. I mean, just look at the data. That's what it says, between 35 and 45 into the 50s, where people make the most of their money. So do things, explore, if you have this light, then try to go after that. It's just, don't sell yourself short because you get quote unquote comfortable in a job. You look up the definition of a job, it means just over broke.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And there's always room for more. You're never finished. There's always time you can start over. So all those good quotes. And I want you to tell us what you want to be remembered for, Cameron. What is the one thing? A legacy, right? My goal is to leave a legacy. I do that through my podcast. I do that through my own children. I do that through everybody to meet. When somebody meets me for the first time, I want them to walk away and say, that's somebody who really cared about what I had to say, that really cared about how my day truly is. That's what I want to be remembered for, not for the building a company, as fast as I did, or taking trips and vacations. I want to be remembered when somebody leaves my presence and is done talking with me. They say that person truly cared about me as a person and individual. That's what I want to be remembered for. And the legacy for my children, right? I have, between my wife and I, we have 10 kids. Next month, we're going to have our 5th grandchild, which is phenomenal. So I want to leave a legacy for them so they can see this was the starting point. Where I am in my life, that's the starting point. So then they know how to elevate from there. How can we reach you, support you? How can people get in touch with Blue Fire Leads?
You can email me. It's really simple. Cameron, Cameron @bluefireleads.com. That's where you can email me. I'm on Skype too, because we're an affiliate program, right? So just CAMGILL, that's 2 L's, the number 44. That's how you can reach me on Skype. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. That's where, you can reach me there. On Instagram and TikTok, it's just Cam_Gilmore. And then LinkedIn, just type in my name, Cameron Gilmore. That's how you can reach out to me. Yep.
Excellent. We'll definitely push people in your direction who are interested in leads. I'm going to give you the final word here before we close out our show today. So, Cameron, what do you have to say?
Last but not least, the one thing that I wanted to say is, if you don't write your goals down, it becomes a dream, right? If you're not writing down things that you want to improve upon every single day, then you're just living in a dream state. So write your ambitions, write your goals, write them all down, because that's what will motivate you. And make sure they're not monetarily driven. That's not a bad thing. Make sure they're very structured and to the point. Always go 7 layers deep. This is what I want. Why? And then when you write, this is what I want to Italian, then you need to write 6 whys and answer each one of those. 1 why, this why answers this why, this, and you get all the way down to that main crux on why you want to achieve what you want to achieve.
Excellent. Excellent. I did a podcast yesterday where I was the guest, and I had exactly the same final suggestion. They asked me the very last, what 3 things would you tell the audience? The last one I said was, you got to set goals. So we're right on the same track. We're looking for that freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for being on our show today, Cameron. And speaking of freedom, you can check on that QR code right there, and you'll get to my digital business card if you want to find out more about a place to go and have a podcast. The Influencer Podcast, of course. We have drbillwilliams.tv, where you'll find all of our podcasts listed. You'll find out more about our AI SaaS products, things like O-Trim, O-Tracker. And I want to mention one other one to you that I'd like to talk about, and that's called O-Bless. This might be something that you will be interested in, Cameron, because we give this one away to the public. Many of our products are free to use. We don't charge for them because we want to give back to the community. And one of the ways is to help nonprofits and startup companies, innovation companies that are just getting off the ground to get started. And so we have a marketing program for them to get out and be heard and actually to raise funds. And we don't charge anything for them to raise funds through the program. So we want to have people be self-sustaining. We want to teach them to fish rather than give them fishes. Mm. So, people that want to be part of a company that is built on a purpose, not just the profits, that's kind of what we are. So I invite anybody to check out the otrim.co/Dr. Bill W, and you'll find out all about what O-Bless is about and our other products, O-Tracker, O-Connect, etc. Cameron, it's been wonderful being part of your life today, sharing about lead generation. I learned a lot. I understand more about the process of lead generation. It's much more in depth than anybody would ever imagine, right?
Yep. I appreciate it. No, I'm very humbled and grateful to be on your show today.
Thanks for being here. And, anybody who can persevere through software glitches, audio glitches, that they can be somebody you can trust, because a lot of people would give up, but Cameron didn't give up. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks you for
Take
your
care,
patience.
my friend. See you later.
Bye-bye.
See you all in Influencer Podcast later on next week. Have a good weekend.